It's the news at noon. In the news, President Muhammadu Buhari approved 24.4 billion naira for a Smart Irrigation Scheme. Former President Goodluck to inaugurate bridge on Etebi-Enwang Road on Monday, January 16, 2023. President of Nung Oyo in Obio Offot decry poor power supply in the area. On the foreign scene, Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky holds talks with Kenyan counterpart William Ruto over food security. And sport, Barcelona beat Real Betis to reach Clasico Super Cup final. Details coming up shortly. Good afternoon and welcome to the news on Planet Radio 101.1 FM Oyo. I am Rachel David White. A first report this afternoon is that former President Goodluck will on Monday, January 16, inaugurate the Afilko Nteye Bridge on Etebi-Enwang Road. According to the statements by the State Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Inyememebong, the event is scheduled to hold by noon. The commissioner, who assured that the administration of Governor Domimano is committed to ensuring the completion of all ongoing critical projects in the state, called on all stakeholders in Akwa Ibom, including women and youth organizations, to be part of the historic occasion. Away from that, some residents of Nung Oyo, Obio Offot in Oyo local government area have complained about the poor power supply in the area, stressing that the issue has brought a setback to the residents of the community. Speaking with Tough Media News crew, the people said the poor power situation in the community has made many business owners look for an alternative source of power supply to get their businesses moving, which according to them is difficult because of high fuel price.
Kawadi okumi ebong polo bambosi bina mero ko mema ko mpong iro mero ken takika ngika di oktutu ikang sini ka useni nangu fanga fionki tane pa na mgumi ero ma tribo ya ben bilu so mpong abisiere mi amma yo no ikang useni ba kedi e ma so no no bileri ma nyon mi ma ni yon ko misene
la no ikang idaka mi ken kan nyiri don mi ne ke ki fon bo ngoni mfoni so maybe edi kri kan lo kan ke useni ta o kan ibaita kurwa ane no odu bu no egbo ite ki kan lo kimi bambo 6 hours no kemeri people mem ko te fresh woni e ke bo ko ferisan anyes ko maintain ferero on ferero kan na e de musin anwa mawo e yina mbo son ira kame
na e kan ba ke no yo mi adi tutu emi siba afionke maybe ke kan iba ikbon perfio.
Also speaking in an interview with a correspondent in Niabet, a landlord in the community complained that people do not come to rent houses in the community because of the poor power supply, and even business owners are leaving the community. The people therefore appealed to the government and the electricity distribution company to look into the current situation and create an alternative and immediate solution for it.
Kama steady tense ko work pe aya na me ways because now for you see can own them fairness the for can see ko agbe I improve I know it can
ni mi si pe ko kan ya mo se sa ni kan me ya no nyin say don't di kan ba biara ikan agbe biara bo transform ayo ngodo ni mfana na yiwu le ma do nyero ini esi na won me ne pa ge no ikan ro mbo ni me wesa dem ndo wo ndu be mi ase mfana mi ntida fo le di so nguru ami nyongo ngan so se 300 de fuel liter ifang ya ri kem jen se ngbo ge de ngese mi nyam ko ya o kare se mbo e bang agbe na mi kan mi se so ngora
mi se ne be in our government ya di wan mi se de mi ne shop mi kan na mbo mi nyam because of na ikan aba jumbo la government e di so no.
On our business news, the cost of doing business in Akwa Ibom State has been further criticized, with the spiraling prices of goods and commodities in the state and Nigeria at large. Though government has earned commendations for the peaceful disposition of the state that has played a huge role in enabling case of doing business. Speaking with Planet News, A businessman, Akarandot Koko Basi, lamented the daily increase in price of commodities and the general business terrain in Akwa Ibom.
I would deeply say that the cost of doing business here is high, owing to the fact that the cost of fuel recently has gone up, has soared up to 300, 350, in some places very higher than that. So when you want to align that with doing business there, definitely we don't have a steady power supply here. Even if you're driving or you're staying in your business, you must have have an operating set running. And by that, you need to buy fuel power. It adds up to the cost of production. So we will say that it's relatively high, but we appreciate God because the terrain that the government has made possible for us, a peaceful terrain. There are places that they cannot stay to do business, they cannot survive doing business, running here and there, but each and every day we wake up peacefully to our business and go back home safely.
He appealed to Nigerians to vote their conscience in the coming elections and arm themselves with the consciousness of effecting positive change in Akwa Ibom State and Nigeria at large.
Our brothers and sisters, the youths and the elderly, the women, in this general election that is coming, let nobody be able to buy our vote. But let from some cautiousness tell ourselves, what do we really want this state in particular and the nation at large to be? This will rightly inform our decisions on who to vote. Let us not even say that we are not going to cast any votes, that the vote has not been counted over the years. If you don't vote, automatically you voted. Because if you decide not to give your votes, that means you've disenfranchised whoever that you could have voted for. Let's vote our conscience. Let's look at the things and how the happenings around the state and the nation at large and vote the right people. And let's believe that God will help us at the end of the day.
To the national scene now, where the Executive Vice Chairman and Chief Executive of the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, Nasani Mohammed Haruna, has said President Muhammadu Buhari has approved 24.4 billion naira for the phase 1 of the nation's Smart Irrigation Scheme. While making the disclosure at the foundation laying of the Agricultural Machinery and Equipment Development Institute in Obudu, Cross River State, Haruna said the nation is already trying to provide and promote the multi-crop season farming program as part of an all-year-round bumper harvest plan. He noted that the federal government has decided to establish 6 agricultural machinery and equipment development institute in each of the nation's geopolitical zones, adding that the institute would teach farmers mechanized farming besides modern farming techniques. Away from that, Nigeria has reportedly recorded the highest oil production since April 2022. Reports say the country's oil production has been faced with oil theft that has hampered exports and resulted in significant oil spills and loss of millions of naira. A recent survey by the Global Commodity Insight showed that Nigeria's volumes rebounded to highest since April of 2022, producing 1.33 million barrels in December, contributing significantly to Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries OPEC's increased oil production in the period. In the meantime, the Nigeria Employers Consultative Association, NECA, says the country has been losing about $2.5 billion monthly for failing to meet the 1.8 million barrel per day crude oil production allocation by the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. In a statement, Director General of NECA, Adewale Oyerinde, noted that though the country's crude oil production grew by 4.2% to 1.23 million barrels per day in December 2022, it was still short. Adewale lamented that oil theft seemed to continue unabated and unsustainable subsidy on petroleum product had joined to reduce the government revenue, leading to absurd debt accumulation. You're listening to the news on Planet Radio 101.1 FM Uyo. Let's take a breather and then bring you more stories from our foreign, sport, and entertainment scenes. Do stay with us.
Healthy living begins with the choices one makes. Choosing to live healthy is the first step to healthy living. Join us Sundays 1:30 to 2 p.m. for Healthway, awareness for healthy choices.
Welcome back. On a foreign scene, Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky has held talks with his Kenyan counterpart, William Ruto. In a tweet, the Ukrainian president said they discussed food security and the Grain from Ukraine initiative, a humanitarian program to get Ukrainian grains to countries with acute food shortages. Zelensky said they also spoke about the creation of grain hubs in Africa and agreed to enhance cooperation between the two countries. The Ukrainian president also thanked Kenya for its support and constructive cooperation in the UN amid a war in his country that began after the Russian invasion in February last year. In sports, Marc-Andre ter Stegen saved twice from the spot to help Barcelona beat Real Betis 4-2 on penalties after a 2-2 draw, setting up a Clasico Spanish Super Cup final. Barcelona needed spot kicks to kick and see off Betis after an entertaining draw over 120 minutes at Riyadh's King Fahd Stadium. Robert Lewandowski put Barcelona ahead after 40 minutes, but Betis playmaker Nabil Fekir leveled with 13 minutes remaining. Ansu Fati smashed in a fine volley to put Barcelona ahead in extra time, but Laurent Morin pulled Betis back level with a corning backheel flick. The Catalans will face their bitter rivals Real Madrid on Sunday after Carlo Ancelotti's side beat Valencia on penalties on Wednesday. Still in sport, ahead of next month's Africa Under-20 Cup of Nations, the host Egypt are sweating over the threats Nigeria and Senegal pose to their chances of qualifying from the group. The 2023 Under-20 African tournament will be played in Egypt between February 19th and March 11th, with the top 4 teams qualifying for the Under-20 World Cup in Indonesia in May. The young Pharaohs, drawn a Group A alongside Nigeria, Senegal and Mozambique, are aiming to lift their first continental title since 2013. On the entertainment scene, Afrobeat's sensational superstar Chukwuka Ekweme, popularly known as CK, has earned recognition in his stellar career. The talented singer, songwriter, and producer has reportedly been named the best-selling African artist in the United States of America after his record-breaking international hit song, Love Wantinti, earned over $1.6 million in 2022, which is the largest amount ever achieved by an African artist. Reports say the Recording Industry Association of America declared Love Wantinti platinum after it sold more than 1 million copies in the U.S. alone, adding that it is the first song to achieve such a milestone and has earned over 550 million on-demand streams in the USA. It's been the news on Planet Radio 101.1 FM Uyo, but before we go, a recap of the major stories. The Executive Vice Chairman and Chief Executive of the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, Mohammed Aruna, has said President Muhammadu Buhari has approved 24.4 billion naira for the Phase 1 of the nation's Smart Irrigation Scheme. Former President Goodluck Jonathan will on Monday, January 16th, inaugurate the Afiu-Kontere Bridge in Etebi-Enwang Road. Some residents of Nung Oyo, Obio Offot in Uyo local government area have complained about the poor power supply in the area, stressing that the issue has brought setback to the residents of the community. On a foreign scene, we told you that Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky has held talks with his Kenyan counterpart William Ruto over food security. And in sport, we reported that Marc-Andre Ter Stegen saved twice from the spot to how Barcelona beat Real Betis 4-2 on penalties after a 2-2 draw, setting up a Clasico Spanish Super Cup final. For comment and coverage of the newsworthy events, call our newsroom on 0812-770-2940. Visit our website on planet101fm.ng and follow us on Twitter at planet_101fm. Also, like our Facebook page at Planet101FM Oyo. The news was edited by Jane Owa. As we end the news, always remember that life is what we make of it. Always has been and always will be. I am Rachel David White. Good afternoon.